Look at your fingertips right now. Go ahead, just for a second. Those little ridges, those swirling patterns that spiral and loop across your skin, you've had them since before you were born. You've left them on every glass you've ever touched, every door you've ever pushed open, every hand you've ever held. And here's the thing, we still don't fully understand why you have them. Welcome to Briefly Science, and today we're going deep, really deep, into one of the most overlooked mysteries on the human body. A mystery that turns out to connect Alan Turing, koala bears, ancient Babylon, and the weird physics of vibration. So why do we have fingerprints? The obvious answer, the one everyone throws out, is crime. Fingerprints catch criminals. And yeah, sure, they do. But that's not why we have them. Evolution isn't building a forensics department. It doesn't plan ahead for detective shows. So let's ask the real question. What do these ridges actually do for us? Why did natural selection spend millions of years refining these tiny patterns? And honestly, scientists argued about this for over a century. They still kind of are. Let's start with how fingerprints even form, because this part alone should blow your mind a little. You're about 10 weeks into your existence. You're smaller than a lemon. Your nervous system is just starting to wire itself up. Your fingers are taking shape, and something extraordinary is happening in the skin on your fingertips. Waves, literal chemical waves, are rippling through your developing skin cells. These aren't random. They're the result of proteins, called WNT and EDAR, acting as activators, promoting the formation of ridges. And then a third type of protein, called BMP, acts like a brake, suppressing those ridges wherever it shows up. Activator here, inhibitor there, push and pull, over and over and over. And from this tension, a pattern emerges. Here's where it gets genuinely wild. This exact mechanism was first theorized in 1952 by Alan Turing. Yeah, that Alan Turing, the guy who broke the Enigma code and laid the foundations for modern computing. Near the end of his life, he turned to a completely different question. How do living things create patterns? He proposed that two substances, one that promotes a structure, one that inhibits it, could interact to produce complex, self-organizing patterns. Stripes, spots, spirals. It's now called a Turing reaction diffusion system, and it's responsible for zebra stripes, for leopard spots, for the arrangement of hair follicles, and yes, for the unique swirling ridges on your fingers. What's incredible is that fingerprints start out looking almost identical to the early stages of hair follicle formation. Same cells, same molecular signals, but instead of growing hair, they form ridges. Something subtle in the signal says, not a hair, a ridge, a loop, a whirl. And those ridges develop from three different zones simultaneously: the tip, the center, and the base of each finger. Three sets of waves, expanding outward, colliding into each other. The specific pattern that forms depends on the exact timing, the exact angle, the exact pressure of those collisions, which is why no two fingerprints are alike. Not even on your own two hands, not even between identical twins. Think about that. Two people, identical DNA, same parents, same womb, same placenta, different fingerprints. Because the chaos inside the womb, the precise blood pressure that day, the oxygen levels, the mother's nutrition, the position of the fetus, even the exact length of the umbilical cord, all of it nudges those chemical waves in slightly different directions. The universe literally conspires to make sure you're one of a kind. Okay, so they form. But why? There are three main theories, and each one is more interesting than the last. The first and oldest theory: grip. Your fingerprints help you hold on to things. The ridges create friction. And this makes intuitive sense. Other primates have them too. Chimps, gorillas, orangutans. And their prints look remarkably similar to ours. All tree climbers, all animals who need a reliable grip. But here's the twist. Researchers actually tested this by dragging a smooth plate across someone's fingertips and measuring the contact area. And they found something completely counterintuitive. The ridges reduced. The contact area because the valleys between the ridges don't actually touch the surface. On smooth surfaces, fingerprints might actually decrease friction compared to completely smooth skin. So, grip theory. Complicated. But hold on. The grip theory isn't totally abandoned, because there's a 2020 study using laser imaging that found something interesting. When people picked up smooth glass, especially when it was slightly wet, those ridges were regulating moisture. The sweat glands on your fingertips emerge from the tops of the ridges, not the valleys. And that moisture balance, not too dry, not too wet, is exactly what gives you precision grip. It's like licking your thumb before leafing through pages of a book. Your fingerprints are moisture management systems. Okay, so grip, kind of, with an asterisk. Now let's talk about the second theory, and this one might be the big one. Your fingertips contain 4 types of mechanoreceptors, pressure sensors embedded in your skin, but one in particular sits about 2 millimeters below your fingertip surface. It's called the Pacinian corpuscle, and it's tuned almost exclusively to one specific frequency of vibration, 200 Hertz. Why does that matter? A physicist at the Sorbonne named Georges Desbrégès started wondering, what if fingerprints are literally antennas? What if those ridges amplify vibrations at the exact frequency your deepest touch sensors are waiting for? So he built a device, a biomimetic finger, essentially. One version smooth, one version ridged, and he dragged both across textured surfaces. The ridged version amplified vibrations at almost exactly 200 Hertz. The smooth one didn't. That's not a coincidence. That's engineering. When you run your finger across a rough surface, those ridges don't just touch it, they sing it. They transform the microscopic texture of a surface into a precise vibration that your nervous system can read like sheet music. That's how you can feel the difference between silk and sandpaper without looking. That's how blind individuals read Braille, not just touching dots, but feeling the vibration of individual bumps at the resolution of a single fingerprint ridge. A 2024 study confirmed that human touch receptors are sensitive to spatial details on the scale of a single ridge. Not a fingerprint, one ridge. We're talking fractions of a millimeter. That is one of the most precise sensing systems in the entire animal kingdom. And here's the evolutionary crowbar that really drives this home. Koalas. Koalas are marsupials. They're not primates. They're not even remotely related to us. We last shared a common ancestor something like 100 million years ago. And yet, koalas have fingerprints, almost indistinguishable from human fingerprints. Loops and whorls and arches. The works. This is called convergent evolution, when 2 completely separate lineages independently arrive at the same solution. Wings in birds and bats, echolocation in dolphins and bats, and fingerprints in primates and koalas. Because koalas climb trees and grip bark and need to feel the texture of leaves before eating them. They need exactly the same thing we need, and nature found the same answer twice. That's not a coincidence. That's a fingerprint of purpose, if you'll forgive the pun. Now, what about the uniqueness? What's the point of every person having a different pattern? Here's the honest answer. Probably nothing. The uniqueness might be a side effect, not a feature. Evolution selected for ridges, for grip, for vibration sensitivity. The fact that those ridges end up unique to every individual might just be a consequence of how chaotic the developmental process is. The Turing waves don't care about identity. They're just doing physics. But then humanity came along and decided, you know what? This chaotic accident, incredibly useful. Ancient Babylonians pressed their fingertips into clay contracts thousands of years ago, the Hammurabi era. They understood, intuitively, that this pattern was a signature, long before DNA, long before microscopes, long before we understood any of the science. The pattern on your fingertip was you. And there's something almost poetic about that. You started as a single cell. Over weeks and months, your body assembled itself from a kind of molecular symphony, genes switching on and off, Proteins chasing each other across developing tissue, waves of chemical signals rippling through skin that didn't fully exist yet. And embedded in all of that, your fingerprints were forming, a pattern no one else has ever had, no one else will ever have. Not because of who you are, not because of your personality or your choices or your DNA alone, but because of an unrepeatable set of conditions in an unrepeatable moment in time. The exact position you happen to be in, the exact blood pressure in your mother's body on a specific morning, the exact angle of a chemical wave inside a fingertip the size of a grain of rice. You are, in a very literal sense, physically unprecedented. And the next time you press your thumb to a phone screen, or feel the texture of bark on a tree, or hold someone's hand and feel the warmth of their skin against your ridges, you're experiencing the output of one of nature's most elegant systems. A Turing pattern, a vibration antenna, a moisture regulator, and a cosmic accident, all at once. Maybe the real mystery isn't why we have fingerprints. Maybe it's that we spent so long only thinking about what they could prove about us, and not enough time marveling at what they say about the universe that made us. If this kind of deep dive into the quietly extraordinary is what you're here for, then Briefly Science is exactly where you belong. Hit subscribe. It's free, it's one click, and honestly, it's probably the best decision you'll make today. And drop a comment. What's the weirdest part of your own body you've never really thought about? We might just make a video about it.